My name is Tommy Noble. I do downhill longboarding and also skate tranny. I've had a skateboard for as long as I can remember, and it was just something to do in the neighborhood. I've been hooked since I was probably 2 years old. Downhill longboarding is just completely viewed as a nuisance by people, and they think that we're just a bunch of hooligans who have no experience and no skill, and we're just hiking up to the hill and, you know, just throwing all caution to the wind and riding down as fast as we can, which is completely opposite. It's the furthest from the truth. Before I even rode my first hill, the guys I skated with wanted me to make sure I could stop safely, and I've always been told to not skate faster than you can stop. You can foot brake, which is you take your foot off the board and gradually apply pressure to the pavement and slows down with friction. Or you can slide, which is a maneuver. You place your hands on the ground with protective gloves, maneuver the board to stop. It's just a full-on adrenaline rush going down a hill with three of your best friends side by side with you, and the races, the partying, just the people. That's what downhill longboarding is to me. For me, skateboarding has just no matter what's been going on in my life, the lowest of lows, the highest of highs, like skateboarding has always provided me with a constant smile. Like, I know no matter what the situation is, no matter how bad the day is, like, I can grab my board and I can go just like push around a park. I can go find a hill, and just feeling like four wheels rolling under your feet is there's nothing quite like it.
My name is Ian Fitzpatrick. I am a student at the University of Arizona. I'm a senior this year, and in my free time I like to downhill skateboard and compete as a downhill skateboard racer. The main reason I downhill skateboard is just because it's fun. I love downhill skateboarding. It gives me great joy. It's a great recreation, a great way to stay out of trouble and do something productive. But at the same time, I also really like going to competitions, meeting other people that are part of the community, and things like that. And I really do like to compete, so that's basically one of my goals, is to get to a point where I can compete on a high level. A lot of people, I think, are misled to think that downhill skateboarding is extremely dangerous, and while it does carry with it some very specific and real dangers, it's really not any more dangerous than most sports that people engage in today, like football, baseball, basketball. There are injuries just like every other sport, and we're athletes, so we take those risks, and we understand them, and we do our best to make sure that we minimize them as best we can. As opposed to people who see someone playing football or basketball, they might think it's more organized or something like that, just because they're not really familiar with what the sport has to offer. And a lot of times when we come into contact with people who are outside of our generation, they think we're kind of willy-nilly and just hooligans riding down the road as fast as we can, when that's really not the case. There's a lot more organization and there's a lot more finesse and technique to it than really people are led to believe. When I'm skating, I'm always wearing something to protect my head and my hands, because my hands are what I use to balance when I'm doing emergency slides or slides to get through turns. But lately I've also been wearing knee pads, and depending on the speeds, if we're usually exceeding speeds of 40 miles an hour or greater, I'm usually covered in full leather gear. I feel like in Tucson especially, since I have been doing downhill skateboarding, it's been about a year and a half now that we're closing in on that I've been doing it in Tucson regularly. We're actually making progress. We have talked to local sheriffs, we have talked to people on the hills that we skate, and gotten permission to ride specific hills where we really can't be bothered because we're allowed to skate there, because we don't really fall under any illegal circumstances within the law. But at the same time, we do often run into people who don't want us in certain places, and a lot of times, I can remember specifically on a road that we really enjoy, being stopped by a sheriff, and he said that he wasn't going to cite us for anything because he couldn't find anything specifically illegal about what we were doing, but yet he felt the need to stop and make sure that everything was, I guess, up to a code that doesn't exist. And I think that one of the problems that we face with law enforcement is because we fall into these cracks, they don't really know how to deal with us at one point or another when they come across us. And I think it's a shame that we're not really you know, we're kind of on the fringe, and people don't know what's legal and what isn't legal about what we do. So there's a lot of times where we have to, you know, deal with police, and we have to deal with the authorities. And most of the time, especially in Tucson, they're very understanding. There's not really an I hate skateboarders type feel that I've ever really gotten from police. But at the same time, anytime you deal with police, it's kind of tense and there's anxiety there. You don't know what's going to happen. You know, you see all these videos on YouTube of skateboarders being abused by people and the authorities because they're in places they shouldn't be. I think that the world should downhill skateboard. It's given me something to look forward to basically every day when I get up out of bed, is that, you know, if I'm having a bad day, I can go skateboard. If I'm, you know, if I'm not feeling great, I know that I can go and get on my skateboard, and all those things kind of disappear because of the focus that it requires for our specific skill set. You really can't think of anything else. So I think it's great, and it's something that really people should try out and learn about, because it's growing very, very fast, and now's the time to get into it with the community growing like it is.